The River Restoration Project came about. Central Rivers is the Living Landscape Project. So the Wildlife Trust have living landscape projects throughout the UK, and here in the Tame and Trent valleys we call it Central Rivers. But what we did for the river restoration work was to get a team together, a team of consultants, the University of Salford, the NGOs such as Staffordshire Wildlife Trust, all coming together, everyone playing to their strengths. So we have amazing science that comes in before, during and after the river restoration projects to monitor the effectiveness of the work.
We've been involved in directing the works and commissioning some of the works to enable the river reprofiling, river widening to be done, which enhances obviously the wildlife and landscape values of the river valley.
We want the whole valley to be stitched together, to be regenerated. We want to have wetlands, we want to have meaningful blocks of wetlands. We have reed beds, lakes, marshy grassland areas. We want farming, we want leisure.
The Central Rivers Initiative is really very much about improving and regenerating the river valley of the Tame and the Trent. It's an area which has been widely exploited for its sand and gravel resources, and we've been working very closely with the mineral companies who have been exploiting this rich resource to restore the landscape to a wildlife-rich and recreational uses which can benefit the local communities in this area.
We're trying to actually restore rivers back to how they should be and how rivers were initially before we as humans came in and made them narrower, deeper.
Getting the morphology within the channel going, getting the river to build its own habitat, but also to link the rivers back with their traditional floodplains. We have quarries all the way up and down the valley here that are at sort of various stages of extraction. As they complete the extraction periods and all the sand and gravel has been removed, we can then create meaningful blocks of wetlands, reed beds, reed swamp, marshland, and these areas of rivers have to connect with these wetlands.
We were involved in the start through applying the science, so using the laser scanner to be able to monitor and map what was there before or just after the river had been restored. Use simulation to try and see what would happen given different discharges.
And so we have a handle on where it's appropriate to reinstate river islands into the future. So the way we do it, the techniques we use, is to use live willow trees and alders. They're actually uprooted on the day that we're doing the work. So we mimic natural processes, we mimic the way that the willows drift with the root plates facing upstream. And so when they hit an area of shallow water, they'll actually send down adventitious roots into the substrates and grow into the base of the river. And then that sets up a process where sediment drops out both upstream and downstream, and the river island, that's the beginning of the formation of a river island. We can shortcut that whole circuit by actually planting the willows into the river itself, and you get those lovely processes with the river island forming itself.
I think in terms of the restoration approach that we've used, the biggest thing that we've achieved is to bring in variety.
So there's variations now with flow width, flow depth, whereas in the past it was constrained to very much a single channel where we had a monotonous width and depth. We now have riffle areas, pool areas, chute channels, islands. Using our approach, we've relatively cheaply and really rather quickly been able to transform the river and the floodplain into a varied and diverse set of habitats which have been exploited over only a few years by all manner of extra and new plants, new insects and other species.
Taking the water samples and looking at the chemistry of the water, as well as invertebrate sampling, kick sampling and electrofishing. And we use new technology with the drone to actually see what has happened, and then we know what went well and where other areas where we may be able to improve in the future. But then also we've got software, and the new software creates digital terrain models from those images, which gives you the terrain that's there, and then from that terrain we can then have a bit more information. We can find out where the low points are, where the high points are, and then we can link that to habitats and the species that we see from the site.
We've got a whole team of consultants and experts, and University of Salford have helped stitch it all together to help it make sense.
The success of Staffordshire can really be implemented across the country. Some of the things that we're looking at is where we can actually implement this in different projects, and we've actually done that. So we've got an ongoing partnership, and basically that partnership is trying to use the things that we've learned and also the things that we've had to overcome, some of the challenges, to make sure that we can apply some of the similar techniques to different locations.
This is just the start, and that we will see much more in terms of restoration along the lengths of the rivers Tame and the Trent, which will increase the overall importance of the area for its wildlife value in terms of its landscape quality and its contribution to the local economy.
I think the future, really, off the back of all this river restoration work, is a vision of this valley, the wider valley, people coming to visit it, to enjoy it, to relax here, that it will be a place where people come to work and play.